So today we are just going right into infertility. I'm going to be giving you medical advice that you also can be empowered. If I can push you in the right direction, I hope this will encourage you to seek for medical help so that you too can one day be called a father or a mother. Let's get right back into our topic of infertility. So let me start by just the basic terms and basic understanding of what infertility is all about. So infertility by definition is inability to conceive. So inability to get pregnant within a period of 1 year of regular, it must be regular, intercourse, sexual intercourse with your partner at least 3 to 4 times in a week without any of the parties involved being on a contraception. So we have women that will come and they'll be like, but I'm failing to fall pregnant, but one partner is on contraception. So that is not really what we call infertility. You have to be practicing sex regularly, and you must not be on contraception, and we give you at least a period of 1 year of trying without being on any medication. Then we define it as a infertility. So with your infertility, the subject is so broad in the sense that we have different types of infertility. I'm not gonna go too deep into the different types of infertility, but I'll just describe them a little bit. So we have female infertility. So your female infertility, basically the woman is the one who is infertile, or the woman is the one who has problems with conceiving. So we call it female infertility. The male infertility is also another type of infertility, but with this one is actually the male who is failing to conceive. So the problem is not with the woman, but it's actually with the man. You see a lot of couples when they come in, the first thing is always like, the problem is with the woman, but it's not always the case. We always say, the men also need to be screened, because it might be that the infertility problem is actually coming from the men. So those are the basic two. So there's a female infertility, there's a male infertility. Then also in the fertility, we have other categories, which we call your primary infertility, which means you've never been able to conceive. Be it you being a man, be it you being a woman, you never had a baby in your lifetime. Or you had a pregnancy, but that pregnancy didn't even amount to a delivery. So maybe you had an early miscarriage at about, let's say, 3 months. So that is what we call it didn't really materialize, so it didn't go until you were able to deliver. So that is also primary infertility. Secondary infertility, mostly you've been pregnant before, you've had a child in your lifetime, maybe 1 or 2 or 3, then you try for the 4th time, and unfortunately things don't just work out. So that is what we call a secondary infertility. It's not that you are unable to conceive, you are able to conceive, but it's just this time around you are struggling to make to carry or to fall pregnant. So if I can put it in like short term. So those are the definition, those are the types. Let's go into the causes, the main causes of your female and your male infertility. I'm just gonna give you the broad picture of the main causes that I see, especially me being a private GP or general practitioner or medical doctor. these are the main causes that I see. So number one causes is anovulation. So whereby, you basically don't ovulate. So that also can, lead to a lot of infertility problem, and this can also be related to your hormonal, imbalances or your hormonal problems. So anovulation is number one. We have women that have endometriosis. So with your endometriosis, also most women struggle to have children. Then we also have women that present with your what we call fibroid. Fibroid is just a growth that is inside the womb. So that also can affect the woman's ability to carry a pregnancy to term, because most of the women that come with fibroids, sometimes they end up with miscarriages. So those are causes that we commonly see. Not only that, we also have women that present with your tube diseases. So the problem is actually not in the womb but in the tubes. Either there's fibrosis or things like that, or narrowing of your tube. So that actually affects the chances of the woman getting pregnant. So those are the common causes in a woman. Let's go to the men. So with your male infertility, the most common cause is your sperm problem. So it can be problem whereby there's a low sperm count, there's a abnormal morphology or shape of the sperm. There could be abnormal motility or movement. So the sperms, they are unable to travel at a certain speed that they are supposed to in order to meet the egg and fertilize the egg. So those are the common causes. There's more other causes in the male, but I'm not gonna go into that. So I'm just gonna talk about mostly your, causes related to your low sperm count. So that is basically, the most common causes of infertility. Now I am going to go into the clinical presentation. Let me just get a sip of water, then I'll continue right now. All right, let's get back right onto our topic of infertility. So if you are new to my channel, please don't forget to support your local doctor. Dr. Nambi here, inspiring you with great content. So let's get right back into the topic. So what are the clinical presentations, or what are the symptoms that as a woman you will probably present that will, raise suspicions that maybe this can be an infertility problem? So common cause or common symptom is the inability to fall pregnant. So let's say this woman just recently got married and they stay with the husband. They've been having sex without protection. They have not been on any contraception, and this has gone, 6 months has gone by, 1 year has gone by. It starts to raise alarms like, what is going on? And that's when your woman will typically say, let me go and consult and seek help. So basically that failure to conceive within a certain period of time makes the woman to say, I want to go check myself and see if there's a problem within me. So the other most common, symptoms the woman will have is a woman that has chronic, persistent, pelvic pain. So just on the lower, pelvis, the woman always has pains, whether she's on her menstruation or she's not, she's constantly in, severe pain. Then the other common, symptoms the woman can present with is symptoms of, menstruation problems. So the menstruation can either be very, very heavy, or the woman might not have menstruation at all, so the period actually disappears, or the woman can actually have a very, very heavy, painful cycle. So those are the most common causes that the woman will say, let me go and seek for medical help. The men on the other side, it's mostly an incidental finding. So Men usually don't like to consult, men usually don't like to go to the doctors, so but they will go if their partner tells them, let's go and check up. So that's when they will present themselves, and then when we do the checkup, then we can be able to find what is the cause. So before we proceed, let's go to, what is the, most common, management from the doctor. So as a doctor, the first thing I want to know when you come into my practice is to know your medical history. So I want to do just a general checkup. I want to do general medical history. I want to know how is your cycle. I want to know if you've ever had any, contraception in your lifetime. I want to know if you've had any previous, abortions, miscarriages. I want to know all of that, because that will help me to make a diagnosis, to know where am I standing with your case, what am I dealing with. So I need a thorough medical history. And I also advise you, when you are seeking help, please be open enough to offer all the information that is needed, because the doctor cannot help you if you fail to, disclose all the information that can be used in order to help you get the best treatment for your infertility. So be able to be open enough. Remember, whatever you discuss with your doctor is a medical confidentiality. It stays in the doctor's room and it doesn't go out of that office. So hence, be able to be open enough, say everything that you need to. So after taking your medical, history, then I will do general examinations. I love to just, check all the systems from your cardiovascular, respiratory, general, everything, including your weight, your body mass index, because I want to see, are you maybe obese? Are you not obese? I want to check the sugar levels. I want to also check your high blood pressure, because it's simple things like your high blood pressure that can lead to miscarriages, simple things like your, sugar diabetes that can, compromise your chances of also, carrying a baby to term. So I want to know what are all these things that are there, like all the medical history, I want to know. So after doing the medical history, the next thing is, we as doctors, we want to do blood tests. So blood tests, number one, I want to check your hormone profile. So especially in women, childbearing women, we want to check your progesterone to see if your hormones are all right or if your hormones are not okay, because that will help me in order to make the right decisions when it comes to your treatment. Because some women might just need hormonal, treatment or therapy, and then it corrects the infertility problem. The other thing we want to do, not only the hormone, in the male also, we do the hormone profile. We can check your testosterone levels to see if they are normal or if they are abnormal, and that can also help us to initiate therapy as soon as possible, especially if we see, your testosterone is not okay, the testosterone levels. Apart from that, we want to check for infections, your HIV, your syphilis, your rubella. We want to make sure there's no infections that might be predisposing you, to infertility. Also, the other thing that we commonly do is we do an ultrasound. I did talk about fibroids. For me to see fibroids, I need to do an ultrasound. Ultrasound will be able to help me to be able to detect or see if there's a fibroid. If there's a fibroid, already I know management, I need to send you to the gynae. The gynae will be able to check and confirm if you need surgical intervention or not. So that is very important. Look into it, because it's very, very important. As a doctor, I also need to do that so that it can help me with my diagnosis, and in order to, take out some of other diagnosis that are differential diagnosis that I was thinking about. So it's very important. I need to do the ultrasound. The other thing also, though it's not really that important, but the pap smear is very important, because we need to check for cancer. You might think, okay, this is, something you are undermining, but cancers also do affect, so women's ability to conceive. So we want to make sure you don't have any cervical cancer or any other cancers that might be there. So pap smear, very easy. Local doctor can do it in the rooms. We don't need to refer you to the gynae. And I know most of the gynaes, when I refer you to the gynae is also going to be able to do the pap smear before they even continue or do further tests. So basically, that's the main things that can be done. Once we have this profile, the history, the examination, we have the results, we can be able to, ascertain or say, okay, fine, I'm thinking this is the cause of the infertility. And then that is where the treatment plan can come in. So treatment, most of the times, is to treat the cause. So if the tubes are blocked, usually the gynae, there's a procedure they do to unblock the tubes. So you need to be booked for that. I know in private it can go up to 5,000 South African rand, but I don't know, in the government the waiting list is so long, so sometimes you don't get that opportunity in order to go do it because of that long waiting list. So I always tell women, always, prepare money or be on medical aid, because that will help you so that you can get, help faster and you can go on your journey of, treatment faster. So that is what can be done. If we find that the problem is hormonal, so we also going to treat that hormonal problem. I forgot also to mention, with your investigations in the men, we usually want to do the semen analysis. Certain hospitals can do the semen analysis. Unfortunately, in my small town, we are unable to do semen analysis in the private sector, but I know in the government sector, they are able to do it because the sample has to reach the lab within, I think, if I'm not mistaken, within 20-30 minutes. So, but with private, because most of the big branches are in Pretoria, we are unable to do that for you. But if you go to the government hospital, they will be able to help you and take that sample and be able to tell you where you stand in, especially with your semen count or your semen analysis or sperm count. So basically that's about it. So we treat the hormone problem by putting you on hormonal therapy. And not only that, we also recommend, when you are on that journey to fall pregnant, already start on your pregnancy supplements, your folic acid, your ferrous sulfate. That will help you so much. So already maybe 3 months, 4 months or 6 months before you start conceiving, start already going on those supplements, because they will help you. Because when you come to the doctor, we also want to give you that to prepare your body. Your folic acid is very important, especially in the initial stages of the pregnancy, to prepare your body in order, to help the baby with, your spinal cord problem, so spina bifida. So that's why we want to put you on folic supplements. So that is very important. You get on your supplements very soon. The other ones that we can also do is to put you on fertility treatment that you buy at the local pharmacy or local chemist. You take that treatment, it will be able to assist you so that you can fall pregnant. If all this that I'm talking about fails, the next step is to transfer you to the gynae. With those results I was talking about, the gynae will be able to, do your laparoscopy, do the hysterosalpingogram to be able to see if your tubes are open. They will also be able to do the ultrasound to be able to detect if there's any growth or abnormalities in the uterus or any pelvic masses or any pelvic abnormalities. So they will be able to do that. If all the tests are normal, the semen analysis or sperm count is normal, then, and there's still no success rate in the pregnancy, that is when the doctor now will either recommend IVF. IVF, unfortunately, it's mostly done in, your big cities, your Gauteng, like in Pretoria, but not in our small town. We don't do IVF. And then, if IVF fails, the other thing is also to reconsider, the surrogate pregnancies, because we have women that are willing to carry the pregnancy on your behalf. So if everything else fails, it's not the end of the world for you. There is, IVF, there is surrogacy, there is even adoption. So as you're going through these stages, I know it's very stressful. I know, it can be so, it can lead to depression, especially when you look around you. Everybody's celebrating, everybody's happy to say that, oh, we are celebrating, Mother's Day, we are celebrating Father's Day, and you are not still celebrating. So it can hurt a lot. So because of that, that's why I always still also go to recommendations. My top recommendations is to avoid stress at all costs. Yes, there might be a delay in the pregnancy, but having a negative mindset is not going to help you be pregnant. So try to train your mind so that instead of the negativity, you actually concentrate on the positivity. The other things, as you are preparing for, the journey of pregnancy, especially if you are obese or your BMI is, too much, it's more, then the other thing I also recommend is to go on a diet, go on an exercise, lose some weight. Because once you lose the weight, you are guaranteed, most of the times, I know people that when they went on a diet, they were able to conceive or be pregnant. So look into that option of, going into diet and exercise. If you drink alcohol, I will recommend to stop alcohol. If you smoke, I will also recommend you stop smoking and then reduce the stress. And with that, there is a high chance with those changes that you can be able to be one day a parent. I hope this information helps you. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and if you've been in this journey before, please do share your advice, your tips on how you got through these stages of infertility, because like I'm saying, this thing can be, so depressing, and there are people that actually do need the help. So reach out to someone